given a demand function and a supply function and asked to find equilibrium. Equilibrium is when supply and demand are equal to each other. And each of these equations is built on the variables P and Q, where Q is units and P is price. Demand also has a price and a quantity, but the prices may be different if the market is out of equilibrium. So in order to put this into Excel, the first thing I need to do is isolate a variable. And generally, we want to have Q be the independent variable. So I want to solve for P. And for the supply function, first I'll get P squared by itself. I can do that fastest by just adding it to both sides. 300 plus 10Q is P squared, and then square root both sides. And since this is in a business context, I don't need to worry about the negative square root because I'll never have a negative price. So given a value for Q, this equation will form the price for the supply function. Now I need to similarly solve for P in the demand function. So I'll subtract 12Q. P squared is 1800 minus 12Q, and then square root both sides. For demand, P will be the square root of 1800 minus 12Q. Okay, now I can program those into Excel. So I'll have Q be the number of units, and then I can have the price for the supply function and the price for the demand function. Let's start with, 10. Then for supply, price was the square root of 300 plus 10 times, 300 plus 10 times, get the Q value. And now for demand, that was equal to the square root of 1800 minus 12 times, get the number of units. And at 10 units, the market is not in equilibrium. And if I did 15, not much better, 45, a little bit better, they're closer. Here they're only 8 apart. And what I want is for Excel to tell me when those will be the same. But so to try to solve this, if I pull up GoalSeek, the problem is that I need to set a cell to a value. And I don't know what the value is going to be. I don't know the price that will make these two things equal. So instead, I'm going to set up a difference column, and I'm going to have the difference be the supply amount, subtract the demand amount. And when supply and demand are equal, this difference cell would be equal to 0. So my goal is set the difference to 0. Okay, so now when I pull up GoalSeek, set the difference to a value of 0 by changing units. When I change units, supply price and demand price will both update, and the difference will update. And when that difference is 0, we should have those two being the same. Now you might be looking at this and saying, I thought it was supposed to equal 0. Well, this is scientific notation, Excel's version of a really small number. And if I change this into a decimal and increase the number of digits, you can see that it's, if I move the decimal point over, I've got all these leading zeros. If I moved it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decimal places, then I'd have 1.6237. But that's after I move the decimal 5 places to get it behind the first significant digit. So if I change it back to scientific notation, see 1.6, and then the E with the -5 is telling me that the decimal got moved over 5 places. So the number of units is 68.18, and the price for either the supply or the demand was 31.33.